My name is Médéric Audet-Chalifour, and my chosen art piece is the painting Persistence of Memory. Throughout history, many changes have occurred in all domains we can think of. Whether it was in literature, science, or art, these changes were necessary and opened new paths to explore. As Herman Melvin once said, "It is better to fail in originality than to succeed in imitation." Following this idea, I chose to talk about The Persistence of Memory, a painting by Salvador Dali, which was one of the first surrealism paintings ever created. This painter decided to put everyone's expectations and opinions aside. He chose to paint with his creative mind, not caring about following guidelines or staying in his comfort zone. This brought a movement around the 1920s that changed the way art was defined. Surrealism combined anterior ways to paint, like Dada and Cubism. This movement was rejected at first, but the unique components it was made of inspired many to adopt this new way of painting. The Persistence of Memory, also called Clocks, was completed in 1931 and is now considered a surrealistic masterpiece. Looking at the painting itself, we can easily recognize 4 clocks in a desert-like landscape. In other words, in the middle of nowhere. The clocks are melting away and are getting bent, the sides wavy and losing their original shape. Anyone looking at this painting will be instantly filled with many questions regarding the reasons why the clocks are melting and why no one is around. Dali was trying to make his painting the most realistic as possibly quality-wise. We can see the colors, shapes, and objects contained in the painting were used by Dali to make it the most authentic possible, to make observers wonder if they were looking at a painting or a real picture. As he explained it, he was trying to demonstrate what it was like to be dreaming. Some people believe that the melting clocks represent Einstein's theory of relativity, the way the clocks melt, representing how they lose their power and stability over the world that surrounds them. Some art fanatics have found a resemblance in the setting of his painting and his beachfront hometown. The new artistic movement during the 20th century was inspired from the earlier Dada movement. Artists would show their disgust for war and life in general in paintings using their creativity. Surrealism started in Europe right after World War I. The war was what had inspired the Dada movement, and its end was why people finally accepted surrealism. It helped them forget the horrors they had just lived. This was just a way for artists to protest war and tradition. Humor and sarcasm are important in surrealistic art. Salvador Dali used tools for people to interpret his painting. He used sarcasm in the title of the clock's painting, Persistence of Memory, to add a darker meaning in some way. The clocks are losing their power in the dream world Dali is trying to create. They are literally melting away, and are anything but persistent, as the title says. The ants eating the red clock also symbolizes decay, and therefore our way of keeping time. Dali also used concepts that were earlier rejected. He used Expressionism and Cubism in his painting, both to attract people to the painting. Cubism impacted the person who observed the piece by its original 2D designs in certain areas, while Expressionism made the observer reflect upon the possible meanings and question what the painter Salvador Dali was thinking while working on this piece of art. To finish, the painting Persistence of Memory by Salvador Dali was a very brave move by the painter. Being the first of its kind, it made way for others to do the same, and it ended up being the start of an important movement that inspired other painters to try new techniques and explore art in new ways. This all took place after a time of misery for many. Art was a way for people to escape everything that was happening around them and let their creativity take over. People do not give enough credit to the importance of art in our society and its impacts on our culture and the technologies we develop today. Without creativity, life would always be the same. Creativity drives us forward. Everyone can achieve great things. We just have to put our mind to it and put aside our fears of the unknown.